The FBI's record of fidelity, bravery, and integrity is a long and distinguished one. At each turn in your history, when criminals have engaged in new or advanced forms of criminal activity, you have led the law enforcement community in responding to these threats. Once again, you are being asked by the American people for that kind of leadership, that kind of selfless dedication. I want to say to you that I know that you will respond as you always have, with excellence and with fervor. Let me say to all the agents and staff of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the American people are proud of your past and your present, and we're grateful that you will be there for all of the challenges that lie in our future.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and welcome to this month's Live From at the Reagan Library. Remember, we do these on the first Wednesday of every month. In 1908, President Roosevelt and his Attorney General Charles Bonaparte agreed that the federal government needed to do something to stop the public corruption in American society. So Charles Bonaparte put together a small group of agents to look into it. And in 1909, they were named the Bureau of Investigation, a name that stayed with them until 1935 when they were renamed the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, come to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum for our all-new exhibition, FBI From Al Capone to Al Qaeda, an 11,000 square foot exhibition that tells the storied history of the FBI from inception to its modern-day fight against terrorism. Now, there are over 300 artifacts on display, and it's a remarkable exhibit because it's the only time that all of these remarkable artifacts and criminal case files have ever been together at the same time before. It truly is a must-see exhibition. Now, as I said just a second ago, there are over 300 artifacts on display. Just a small handful include two of the pieces of the jet engine from United Airlines Flight 175 that was supposed to go from Boston to LAX, but instead was crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center on 9/11, including a piece of the landing gear from that same flight, the actual raft, pedals, and life vest from the infamous Alcatraz escape, the actual original manifesto written by Ted Kaczynski, otherwise known as the Unabomber, that he wrote and forced to be published, and that being published was what actually led to his capture and arrest. We have authentic artifacts and case files from the Beltway sniper case, from the Robert Kennedy assassination, from the Patty Hearst kidnapping and ultimate bank robbery, from the Oklahoma City bombing, from the Olympic Park bombing, and just so many more. Again, over 300 artifacts on display. And some of those include artifacts back from the gangster era. Gangsters like John Dillinger, Dutch Schultz, Pretty Boy Floyd, Bugsy Siegel, Creepy Carpus, these gangsters with the colorful monikers that were actually the subject of most FBI investigations during the Prohibition era. In this case that you're seeing right now, we have items, identification orders, and guns from a lot of these different gangsters. Now, Creepy Carpus, John Dillinger, Pretty Boy Floyd, and Babyface Nelson are the only 4 people to ever have been named public enemy #1 by the FBI. Here you can see some of their modified weapons, including this right here is an authentic 1928 Thompson submachine gun. This was a gun used in that era by both gangsters and law officials alike. It had a 50-round drum and was capable of shooting over 600 rounds a minute. Now, also in this gallery, one of the highlights of this exhibit in terms of visuals is what's behind me here. This is the actual death car of Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde were bank robbers. They were only 19 and 21 years old. They were known to steal Ford automobiles, Ford V8s, because they learned that the Fords were actually faster than the police vehicles at the time and they could always outrun them. During their course of bank robberies, they shot and killed at least 9 police officers and 4 civilians. And on this fateful day, they were heading back to Texas to actually visit with some family. Someone tipped off law enforcement that they were coming through, and law enforcement and Texas Rangers were waiting for them in an ambush. The car was struck 167 times. 19 of the bullets struck Clyde. I believe 21 of the bullets struck Bonnie, and they died in this car. And to my right is a case that has the blue shirt that Clyde was wearing on that day when he was shot and killed. The next gallery here that we have on display is a gallery dedicated to the D.B. Cooper case. Now, D.B. Cooper was actually a man with the alias name of Dan Cooper. Dan Cooper purchased, in 1971, purchased a plane ticket from Oregon to Washington. And on that flight, he called a stewardess over and showed her a briefcase full of wires and told her that if this flight attendant didn't find a way to reach the ground and tell them that he was demanding $200,000 in money and 4 parachutes, that he was going to blow up the entire plane. They landed the plane. They got all the passengers off. Just the crew stayed on. He got his $200,000. He got his 4 parachutes, and he demanded that the pilot take him to Mexico City. En route to Mexico City, the flight attendants and the pilots realized the plane had gotten really, really cold, and they realized that the aft door of the plane had been opened, and he had jumped out. There was a military plane following, and no one on the military plane claimed to see anyone jump from the plane. They searched the ground for months. There was never any trace of him, the parachutes, the money, no trace of him at all. Now, again, he purchased the airline ticket, and this is the airline ticket. He purchased the airline ticket under the name Dan Cooper, but when the media released the story, there was a member of the media that mistakenly called him D.B. Cooper, and that's the name that stuck. 9 years later, in 1980, a little boy was playing by the Columbia River and found a deteriorating wad of $20 bills. We have some of the fragments right over here. He gave it to his parents, who gave it to law enforcement, and the law enforcement was able to trace the serial numbers back to that of the money given to D.B. Cooper. That's the only remnants or evidence of him at all. And on display in this case, as you've seen, some of the money, his plane ticket, and then one of the parachutes that he had left behind on the plane. Now, again, I've said a couple of times that we have over 300 artifacts on display. This is actually the last gallery I'm going to walk into. So you're just getting a small taste of what we have here. But we're going to talk about 2 stories in this gallery. The first is Dutch Schultz. This is Dutch Schultz's car, a bulletproof car that actually had a modified floorboard that he could hide his rifles in. And he was during that whole gangster era, and he decided that he wanted to put a hit out on the Attorney General. So he tells his friends in the Mafia that he's going to kill the Attorney General, and the Mafia realizes this is a really dumb thing to do, because if he kills the Attorney General, all police attention are going to be on the Mafia. So to stop him from doing that, the Mafia actually puts a hit out on Dutch Schultz, and they kill him. His car goes up for auction, and a more previous owner, a more current owner, knowing that the car is bulletproof, was really curious what happens when you shoot at a bulletproof car. So the bullet holes you see along the side of the car did not come from Dutch Schultz or the gangster era. It actually came from a more current owner who was curious what happens when you shoot at a bulletproof car. The last case we're going to talk about, which is over my right shoulder here, is the case of John Dillinger. Again, another gangster in the Prohibition era, known for bank robberies, police escape from prison. He's killed police officers. So, and he was known for a very identifiable cleft in his chin. He gets incarcerated. He's in jail. He escapes prison. He kills a sheriff's officer, and he goes into hiding. 1934, you think about how long ago that was, he has plastic surgery to remove cartilage from behind his ear to fill the cleft in his chin. And he decides he wants to go on a date. So he sets up a date with a madam, and they agree to meet at the Biograph Theater and see a movie. Now, this woman was also wanted by the police. So she sets up a deal with the police that if they let her go, she will tell them when and where they can capture John Dillinger. The police agree. So they go to the movies, they see the Biograph, they go to the movie, the Biograph Theater, they come out of the theater, FBI agents are waiting to arrest him. John Dillinger sees the FBI agents, pulls out his gun, but before he can shoot, the FBI agents shoot and kill him. On display in this gallery is one of his modified guns, as well as his FBI identification orders, and then a death mask that was made of his face after his passing. So I've mentioned there's over 300 artifacts on display in this gallery. What's also pretty neat about this exhibition is that we were able to interview over a dozen FBI agents, both former and current, about a lot of the cases that are here on display. For example, we interviewed the actual FBI agent who arrested the Unabomber. We interviewed 2 different evidence collection FBI agents from 9/11. We interviewed agents from the Pan Am explosion, from Ronald Reagan's assassination attempt, and many other cases. And all of those videos are playing throughout the gallery. So not only are you seeing authentic artifacts and learning about the cases, you're actually seeing or hearing oral histories from the FBI agents who worked the cases themselves. So as you know, I finished each of these by sharing some of the items you can buy in our store that tie into that theme. And I have some of my favorite items from our FBI exhibit. As a reminder, all you have to do is go to reaganlibrary.com/store. Scroll down just a little bit to the featured items section, and you'll find all the items that I'm talking about. And as a reminder, we also have our Amazon store, which is amazon.com/Ronald Reagan, in which it's the all the items from, or many of the items from the Ronald Reagan store with the ease of shopping on Amazon. So I've been here for a very long time. I always love the things in our store, but I think of all the years I've been here, my favorite thing the store has ever carried is this jacket I'm wearing right now. I just love it so much. It's got our FBI title on the front. It's got FBI on the back, so you can walk the streets of your hometown looking like you're an FBI agent. I think it's just fantastic. We're also selling an FBI shirt with our logo on it. These are just, I think, so adorable. We have a collection. There are 6 of them, dogs, bears, different animals that all have our FBI, have a little FBI jacket on with our logo on the back. So these are really fun to collect. On the off chance you collect challenge coins from the military, we actually have an FBI challenge coin, which has our logo on the front and a Heroes Live Forever American flag engraved on the back. And of course, we have a hat as well. So again, you can get on all of these things on reaganlibrary.com/store. Scroll to the featured featured items section, or you can go onto our Amazon store at amazon.com/Ronald Reagan. To learn more about this exhibit, see all the different types of artifacts we have, purchase tickets in advance, all you need to do is go to reaganlibrary.com/FBI. All the information is right there. The exhibit is open through January 9th, 2022. So although you think you have a lot of time, time flies. We really recommend you come out and see this for yourself. Again, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Never before have all these objects been on display together before. I don't think it's ever going to happen again. This is not a traveling exhibition. You want to come see it, you got to come out to the Reagan Library. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We always greatly appreciate it. A reminder to follow us on all of our social media channels, and especially our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Reagan Foundation, where every time we do a new podcast or put up a new Ronald Reagan speech or one of our events, you'd be notified if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Come see our FBI exhibit. Thank you.
Discover the most complete collection of real artifacts ever on tour, spanning the top FBI cases in American history, from the agency's inception to the modern-day fight against terrorism. See the Unabomber's original manifesto, portions of the plane that struck the World Trade Center, the car Bonnie and Clyde were killed in, the actual raft from the infamous Alcatraz escape, and so much more. FBI, from Al Capone to Al Qaeda, now open at the Reagan Library. Don't miss it.